Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are doing well. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I want to say hello to everybody. What's happening? I haven't gone live on Instagram in a little bit, and so I thought I'd hang out with you and do something I call Dr. Boyce Exposed. This is where I answer questions that you guys may have. One sentence questions. You can ask me any question or any topic. I will give you a brief and honest answer. First thing I got to start off by talking about, man, is I'm super inspired right now because my parents have just completed 48 years of marriage, which is pretty amazing. Shout out to Black Love. Shout out to those of y'all that are really living it. How many of y'all are married or been in a long-term relationship or maintain family stability? If you are married or maybe you just have somebody you really love that you've been with for a while, say something in the chat because I want to just start off there. That's what's on my mind right now. Because literally at midnight, my parents will have done 48 years of marriage, and I'm telling you, man, it's so inspirational. And a lot of people they romanticize about this type of stuff. They say that that's what they want. But I saw it. I saw my parents do it. I saw them go through the ups and downs. I saw them go through situations that would have caused my father that would have caused many men to walk out or would have caused many women to walk out, but they didn't walk out on each other. And now that they're older, and when you get older, the health starts to decline and all that. They have each other. They have each other, so a good wife is better than 1,000 hoes, and a good husband is better than 1,000 bros. 1,000 cuffing seasons or whatever you want to call it. So shout out to everybody who believes in Black love. That's the first thought I want to start off with in terms of starting the frequency of our conversation today. And so anyway, if you have a question, okay, I see my husband and I have been together 10 years. I love that. I think that's so, and that's the thing. I think as a community, you got to start celebrating that. Even if you don't do it, I think you got to start clapping for that. What happens, I think, is maybe in your 20s, you think that, just being free and single and doing whatever you want is the best approach. But then I've just seen it. People get older and things happen. And when things happen, somebody said the audio went out. Did my audio go out? Is the audio back? Let me know if you can hear me. Give me a yes if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me okay. If you can't hear me, let me see. Now I'm a little bit worried. Okay, you can't hear me now? Give me a yes if you can hear me. All right, let me see here. Okay, the sound went out. Damn. All right, let me see here. Here we go. Let me try to. All right, can you hear me now? Am I back? Okay, give me a yes if you can hear. Okay, I know you guys can hear me on YouTube. On Instagram, they're saying that the audio went out. I'm going to give it 1 second, and then if it doesn't work, then I'm just going to come back and and start over again. Is it choppy or am I there? Okay. Anyway, let's get to it. So let's see. I've known my husband for 12 years, been married 8. Good for you. I love that. I think that's beautiful. So, all right. So still no audio. All right. So let me go ahead and just turn this off. I'm going to turn off the Instagram live because apparently I've been maybe blackballed or something. But anyway, so yeah, so this weekend was interesting because there was some conversations about about Kanye West and and a bunch of other topics. And one of the things that was really interesting was that a lot of people didn't understand why I was addressing and talking about the Kanye West issue. Why I even talked about it. Well, because it seems more political or entertainment based. And the reality is that as a financial guy, that's exactly the kind of conversation I love to have. The reason the Kanye West conversation was the perfect conversation for a financial expert is because that situation had money written all over it. The Kanye West situation had money written all over it. Why do you think that the people who were canceling him had the power to cancel him? Because they have money, they have power, they own things, they own media, right? They do. They try to act like they don't. They have silent power, and that's something you got to learn. A lot of people get real loud when they get a little bit of money. They want to be flashy. They want everybody to know how much they got. People who act like that ain't really got nothing. People who want to show you how much money they have usually don't have very much money, because they have a lot of insecurity, and so ultimately the people that have the real money and the real power, the billionaires, the corporate tycoons and titans that are running the entertainment industry, that are quietly canceling people like Kanye West, they don't even want you to know they exist. I had a billionaire on my YouTube channel named Michael Roberts. Michael's going to be at the All Black National Convention. If you want to meet him in person, these are the types of people that we bring to the convention. We bring all types of people, wealthy, poor, smart, or people who have original ideas, mainstream people, radical people, as long as you're Black first. So Michael Roberts is going to be on the stage with me at the convention this week. The All Black National Convention is October 28th through the 30th in Charlotte, North Carolina. I hope you'll join us. You just go to boycewatkins.com or hit the link in the bio on Instagram if you want to learn more. And one thing that Michael Roberts said was, he said, rich people are loud, wealthy people whisper. He said, so rich people are loud, wealthy people whisper. And that made me think about the fact that there are people that are whispering saying, how are we going to take Kanye West down? So that's a conversation that's all about powernomics. It's a conversation that's all about economic warfare. Kanye is a student of powernomics. That's how he and I know each other, is because Dr. Claude Anderson is like a father to me. Kanye called me because to talk to my dad, you got to talk to me first. That's why a lot of people have to go through me. And that's just basically the way Dr. Anderson wanted it. I'm very protective of his time. And so that was what had to occur. And then they had to go through his wife. His wife is the ultimate gatekeeper. She's the one that protects him, but long story short, how do you think it is that Kanye is able to move the way he moves and not get canceled completely? Well, because he's got economic power. So this is another part of the economic conversation. I need y'all to understand how money works in America. I need y'all to understand is if you're Black, and I'm Black, I've been Black my whole life. Every conversation I have starts off with Blackness. If you want to understand what money does for Black people, sometimes money doesn't make you a free man. Sometimes money can make you a bigger slave. A lot of your Negroes in Hollywood are bigger slaves because they make all this money and the money is used to control them. Whereas the opposite is true with Kanye. Kanye uses his wealth to insulate himself and to protect himself. They know that even if they don't like him, he can still go out here and make $100 million that year. And that infuriates them. That pisses them off. That makes them feel like, damn, I wish we could shut this Negro down, but they can't. Right? Why? Well, because he studied powernomics. He understands the power of ownership. That's why he's doing the Yeezy brands and all this other stuff, independent of Adidas and all that. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think somebody did ask that. They said, well, why are you talking about this? You're a finance guy. I'm like, you don't see the money written all over this? You don't think the Jewish people use economic power to control your raggedy Black ass? How do you think they control your hip hop music industry? Hip hop came from you. You created that shit. How is it that they control your art form more than you do? It's because they understand economic power and you don't, you dumbass. It's because they understand ownership. They understand power. Right? That's just a fact. So there's other dynamics I could go into, but it's like, and I don't mean to call anybody a dumbass. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get that way, and I sometimes I forget, honestly, how much I know about finance and money and economics, and I just assume that it's common sense. And so sometimes I'll talk like that, and I don't mean to talk down on people who don't understand. All I ask is that if you don't understand, just sit down, shut up, and listen. Just sit down, shut up, and learn. If you're talking to your heart surgeon and he's telling you what's going on inside your heart valve, you don't say, well, I know what's going on. You wrong. That don't make no damn sense. That ain't true. The heart don't work like that. You don't do that. You don't question 14 years of medical school and residency and neurosurgery training. You don't question that. You just sit down, shut up. Go get a second opinion if you want. That's it. So anyway, now I did see that Kanye's got a little bit of negative publicity, I guess, because of something he said about George Floyd and the fentanyl. I'm not going to address that because I have mixed feelings about all of that, to be honest with you. I never felt that we were getting the complete story on the Floyd situation or Breonna Taylor. I know too much. I know so much about the Breonna Taylor situation that if I were to talk about it publicly, a lot of people would get very confused. So that's why you've never seen me really address the Breonna Taylor situation, because I'm from Louisville. I had a homeboy that got murdered just a few blocks from where Breonna Taylor lives. I know high-ranking Black police officers that I've been friends with since kindergarten on the police force who gave me the real deal on what happened with Breonna Taylor, the whole story. And I can only tell you, and I'm not going to say more about it because I don't get into symbolism. Honestly, I don't think that actually makes Black people's lives better. But I'm just going to tell you, if you knew what I knew, your perspective might be different. I'm not saying Kanye's right or wrong, or anybody's right or wrong. I'm just gonna say I just know too much, and I can't talk about it because it would take too long to explain certain things, and some people wouldn't get it. Anyway, so somebody says, "Can you see my questions?" Yep, I saw that question, Chase. So there we go. Your first question has been answered. Do you see my questions? Yes. All right. So let's see here. Do you think it's safe to keep your stocks on Robinhood? I wouldn't keep all my stocks on any one app. Should I hold my NVIDIA shares? I am, Mike Check. I'm holding on to my NVIDIA shares. Let's see. Let's see. I'm looking for your next question. Thank you for sharing my video earlier, Doc. I really appreciate that. Of course. If it's good, then I love sharing it. Kanye is symbolism. Yeah, he is symbolism. You know, he's getting sued by the family of George Floyd, apparently, for what he said. I don't know how far this lawsuit will go. Sorry, I'm grabbing my bag. Nothing would surprise me. But did y'all know that Kanye actually he gave $2 million to the family? Did y'all know that? I didn't know that. But CNN, somebody shared a CNN clip and basically showed where Kanye had given $2 million to Floyd's family, which is kind of ironic, you know, that they're in this dispute. But I'm just not, I'm just not really. I'm gonna tell you the thing that makes me not so good at being a Democrat or being a Republican is that I'm a person who likes to look at facts. I like to get all the information. I like to hear all the perspectives, and I feel like in politics you get played so much. They want you to be simple-minded. They want you to just believe the Democrats are always right or that the Republicans are always right, and they're never always right. There's always like these little nuances that people don't talk about. And I'm one of those people that just live in the middle. I'm not stupid enough to just be that simple-minded. I don't want to do that. Student of Farrakhan, had to do my homework. Oh yeah, Farrakhan's the best. What can Black Americans do politically for the next 5 years? We can basically focus on ourselves and realize that the people that are going to fix the Black community are Black people. It's not going to be white people. White Jesus or white daddy are not coming to save you. You have to save yourself. How's Dr. Claude Anderson doing? He's almost 90, so you can imagine what that comes with. That's what we say. We'll just say that. How long do you think we have to be in accumulation phase in the market to take advantage of the lower price? With the stock market right now, there are indicators that you still haven't completely reached the bottom, but there's some, a little bit of good news kind of sprinkling around. That's why you've had a rally lately. And so long-term investors are most likely going to be fine. There's still a lot of stuff to kind of wring out. There's a lot of negative sentiment, a lot of negative energy. So besides the Federal Reserve's activity driving stock price movements, the other thing that's driving stock price movement is investor emotion and investor sentiment. And right now the sentiment's pretty negative, but for the short term, it's very positive. And as long as there's no truly negative information to come out, you might see an extended, what they call a bear market rally. That's where you have a few days of good stock returns in the middle of an otherwise down market. Can he and Diddy open a bank? I don't know. I'm sure that they can. Kanye's message was great until he tarnished it with comments about Floyd. I know. Do I think that it was necessary for him to talk about George Floyd? No. But, if you understand, like I studied the history of socialism, communism in America and how they pretty much use Black people to create these movements that you thought were pro-Black movements. I used to be a big fan of the Black Panther movement, which I am. I'm still a fan of the Black Panther Party in general. Big, strong Black people with guns, and saying we're going to, defend our community against the police. I get all that. But then when I started seeing how much of their language was co-opted and connected from like the basic communist movement, the communist movement is a lot of it. These communist revolutions are very anti-government, anti-establishment. So the police, are a natural enemy of that, which make these, to some extent, we as a Black community have a lot of issues with the police, and I think that should be addressed. But it's like it to me, the Black Panther Party failed because it was too communist. It was too socialist. They went broke. They didn't have any money. They did a free lunch program. And if I were part of the Black Panther Party, I'd say, well, why would you do a free lunch program when they're going to go right down the street and give money to white people? I would do like a 20-cent lunch program, or I would do a lunch program that's free if you prove that you have no money. But if you got money, I see your ass at the liquor store buying the white man's beer bottles. I'm going to expect you to give that money to the revolution. You need to invest in your own freedom. See, black folks, you never learned that freedom is not free. Freedom will never be costless. Freedom will never come with a receipt that says $0.00. You must be able to fund your own revolution. So, for example, with the All Black National Convention, we fund all of that. We do not take corporate sponsorship. We have not reached out to Walmart and Bank of America and Google to pay for it because because that would completely undermine what we're trying to do. We don't want Google to pay for our liberation because at some point, money is power. And at some point, the power of money would step in and they'd say, Dr. Boyce, we heard that you said something anti-Semitic, so we're going to take away your funding. And then at that point, you're bringing in the Rizza Islam guy who was against who told us not to get the jab. He didn't agree with Dr. Fauci, so we're going to cut your money. And I don't want to live in that world. So we do the hard work to raise the money. And people who don't get that, who are used to living on the white man's welfare check, they just maybe they get upset because they'll say, well, what you're doing, it should be free. Why it should be free? I'm like, yeah, we do a lot of free stuff, but everything can't be free because we got to run a business that has the independence and sovereignty necessary for us to do the appropriate work that's going to truly get the job done. Right? We get flack sometimes from people that think everything should be free. That's because you've been biased by a communist socialist ideology. Everything's supposed to be free. You treat all black people like we're poor. No, I'm gonna look at black folks and say, okay, we got some black people that are broke and can't afford things. Fine, we'll work with you. We serve hundreds of thousands of people that pay nothing in the Black Business School. But then some of y'all got money. Some of y'all can go buy things. Some of y'all have nice cars, $600 car notes. Some of y'all have nice houses. Some of y'all will go to the mall and spend money at the mall. Some of y'all will go on vacation with Carnival Cruise Lines. Some of y'all will buy more from white businesses than you do black ones. So what we do with those people is we say, hey, we've got some black lawyers, doctors, experts, surgeons, millionaires, billionaires, real estate moguls that we pulled together that can teach you everything that you learned in college, except teach it better. Are you willing to pay a fee for that? That's our whole model. And fortunately, there are people who understand that. And those are the people that allow us to raise the money that we need to do what we got to do. So we run what is arguably, in my view, one of the few truly independent black conventions that's out here. Most conventions, pay attention to who the sponsors are. They'll have sponsors, they'll have corporations and Bank of America or whatever. We don't do any of that because I can't invite Rizza Islam to a convention that's sponsored by Bank of America. They're not going to finance that. I can't bring Dr. Christina Parks to a convention that's sponsored by Walmart. But at the same time, we have a lot of people that do lots of stuff in corporate America, like Michael Roberts runs over $1 billion worth of businesses. He's going to be there in our conversation with a billionaire. The chairman of the Air Jordan brand, Larry Miller, is going to be there. He's literally changed the world because he's responsible for Michael Jordan's company going up to, making $3 billion a year, whatever amount of money they make. These are smart people that we should listen to also. So it's not one of those things where it's like it's either all about poverty in the streets and all that stuff. That conversation happens, but also we have conversations about wealth. And then also we have space for people that, let's say that they're gay, it's fine. We don't hate anybody that's LGBT. But at the same time, we have people that believe in traditional families. So we want to support that. So ultimately, to me, Black First means that you believe in things like Black wealth. You believe in Black love. You believe in Black intelligence. You believe that all these things are keys to Black power. And I find that that's the best, most flexible space to operate in, because as you can see, with a lot of these guys that are out here on these, that have these big platforms and this, this corporate money or whatever, they end up getting these stupid situations where you end up literally having to sound like a big dummy because somebody behind you that has more power than you is telling you what to do. And that's what happened with Kanye West and Noriega and Drink Champs. Drink Champs Drink Champs is a stupid show that could be a better show. It's a stupid show. It's a toxic show that could be a better show. It shows sparks of brilliance, though. Drink Champs shows sparks of brilliance because I saw Boosie go on there and explain how the importance of being able to say what you want. That's an aspect of manhood. You stand on what you say. And I was like, okay, I get that. And sometimes they would end up going into more intelligent conversations with some of the people that actually wanted to go there. But at the same time, there's like a stupid element. There's a clown element to it. First of all, black men ain't got no damn business sitting around trying to be a goddamn drink champ. Like, did you not have uncles who died from drinking too much? Did you not have family members that got hooked on alcohol and drugs and literally abandoned their kids? I know people, friends. I have a friend who became an alcoholic in college, and he has about 8 kids spread out all over the place. He had sex with probably about 2,000 women in college. So he passed around. He was literally passing diseases to lots and lots of women. And his children are now adults, and they have no respect for him because one of the kids saw me. One of the kids looked me up because he said, "I heard you were friends with my daddy." And I was like, "Yeah, I knew your daddy back in the day." And you know what he said? "This is real shit. Y'all need to hear the real shit." And the kid said, "Yeah, I try to rock up my dad, but I can't respect him. I mean, he came to pick me up one time and this nigga fell asleep in the damn front yard." And I'm like, that's crazy. Your father was supposed to come get you. This is supposed to be your hero, your champion, the guy, your protector. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Do y'all understand? I mean, is anybody else feeling this in terms of understanding what I'm talking about here? These are things that should really disturb you. You should not want anything in the culture that promotes this kind of nonsense. So literally, his father, the man that's supposed to protect him and guide him and mentor him, he said, "I'm 12 years old. My daddy's supposed to pick me up. I get there. He done passed out in the front yard because he came to pick me up drunk." We got to kill that, man. We can't. I'm not saying that people don't have their addictions and their vices. I get that. I also, my father, my biological father had a drug issue. He wasn't there for me. My father that raised me, so-called stepfather, but he's actually my real father, he also had a heroin issue and he drank a lot through the years. I get all that. I've seen it up close, very much so. But by seeing it up close, I said, I don't want to be a part of that. There's nothing about being a black warrior or a strong black man that is consistent with being drunk and high all the time. Absolutely nothing. I'm a competitor. I played sports. And one of the things I know about competition is you got to have your mind's got to be right. You got to be alert. If you go on a football field and your mind ain't right, you're going to get injured, and you're definitely not going to win. So to me, if I'm going to war, if I'm really trying to stand up to white supremacy, not just pretend, like if I'm really trying to stand up to this white man who's trying to put his foot on my neck, his knee on my neck, like George Floyd style, I got to be ready. I got to be alert. So no, I'm not going to go looking for the dope. No, you're not going to distract me with a bunch of big booty ass women. You're not going to distract me with a liquor bottle. I'm going to be focused and I'm going to be prepared. There's a book, The Art of War. Every young person needs to read books like this. In The Art of War, one thing that the author of The Art of War said is that every battle is won before the battle begins. When I talk to my child, I tell her all the time, I say preparation is the key to success. People who win battles are usually the people who are prepared. So I want us to look around our community and ask ourselves this hard question. Are your kids prepared? Are you prepared? And if they are not prepared, if they get out in the world and they get put in the victim box, they want you to be a victim. They want you to sit there, do everything. They want you to sit around and do everything to destroy yourself. They want you to be completely unprepared. And then when you get out here and you get your ass kicked, you're all like, it's so hard to be black. Black lives matter. Y'all ain't right. Y'all doing this to us. That ain't right. I get it. Yeah. I mean, racist white people, they are son of a bitch. I get it. But I'm like, well, why didn't you prepare? Like, you were supposed to be reading books, but you was twerking. like, why did you spend more time on the basketball court than you spent in the library, black man? Like, who told you that that's how you prepare for white supremacy, is by being as ignorant as possible? Who told you that a person who's high on Molly and Percocets and spending his life in a liquor bottle is ever going to be able to compete with a man who's got his shit together? Seriously, you give me two competitors on the battlefield, and one has spent time preparing and learning and gaining knowledge, and the other one has spent time drinking, smoking, and chasing women and whatever. Who's gonna win that battle? It's not a surprise. This is not rocket science. This is not calculus. This ain't even algebra. This is just something that we don't believe in anymore, which is called logic. This is 2 + 2 is 4. This is cause and effect. And what happens, in my view, is when they try to put your black ass in the victim box and make you claim your victimhood before the battle even begins is they take away your ability to have fundamental basic logic. Basic logic says if I invest for my children, they'll have wealth. If I don't invest for my children, they'll have nothing. Basic logic says that if I pay $20 a month for a life insurance policy, my family will have money to bury me if something happens. My kids will be okay. If I don't get the life insurance policy, then my children are going to be destitute, assed out. My daughter going to be selling vagina on the corner because her daddy didn't do his job. I believe that we as black people, intelligent black people, have to really boldly and radically embrace common sense. I really believe that I don't listen to white allies at all. I just don't. I don't hate them. I don't care about them. I just don't listen to anything that they say. That you're not my parents. You're not here to give me advice. You can't tell me a damn thing I need to know about what it takes to prepare me and my family for the world that we live in. That's our job. That's what we're going to do. We got this. I don't need your sympathy. I don't need you. I don't need your guidance. Your guidance has literally led us into a complete shithole. You're educating millions of our kids, and 70% of those motherfuckers can't even read. Excuse my French. I'm not going to cuss anymore. But seriously. And so I just kind of think we don't do enough of that. And I really would hope that we would think about that a little bit. Okay. So anyway, so somebody's asking about the convention. Yeah, the convention is next week. It's October 28th through the 30th. And the All Black National Convention is a gathering. We have 47 Black experts who in all different kinds of fields. I'm talking about everything from real estate to relationships to crypto to politics, all kinds of people from all walks of life. It's the smartest Black people you'll ever meet who are gathering to basically help guide our community. It's better than a university. It's better than anything you'll ever see on TV. It's more effective than almost anything you'll ever run into in your life. And the best of all, it's sort of wrapped in love, right? It's not just Black people getting together to learn, but also you're connecting. And when you're connected in a space of love and knowledge and peace and happiness and well-being, you just fly like an eagle. You just find that the things that used to be hard are suddenly easy. You're not at some conference, some stiff little corporate conference or some weird conference where you feel out of place. You're in a place where people are effective and willing to be radical, but also not so radical to be ridiculous, that also have kids just like you, that are trying to do great things in the world just like you, who are trying to level up just like you, who are trying to break generational curses just like you, who know what it's like to be Black. And that's why we created it. So I hope you'll take a look at it. If you're on Instagram, the link is in the bio. We do have a virtual pass. So if you can't make it physically to Charlotte, you can just join virtually. That is an option. But really getting there is what really allows you to have the experience. It really has the vibe of a family reunion. I think you're going to really like it. And I'm really proud of it because we sponsored that ourselves. It's extremely difficult. I'm not going to lie. A lot of coordination, a lot of money, a lot of pressure. But I'm not, but I understood that, right? I understood that being Black in this country means that if we want to do things independently, there's a cost to be the boss. Freedom is not free. I never expected to be free in this society without being expected to do a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of hard work. And I believe that if we're committed to that, I think there's nothing that we can't do. So anyway, let's see here. He must have ignored my comments, I guess. Everyone avoids talking about reparations. I wonder why, says Chase. I think that people avoid talking about reparations. Politicians do because they have an unwritten mandate. The unwritten mandate is that you are supposed to empathize with what Black people are going through, but not actually do anything to solve it. And that's something I want you to look out for. Pay very close attention to the specific language. The most interesting character in this space right now to me is Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams, I guess because in Georgia, they're really worried about the Black vote. They're worried about particularly Black men and a lot of disenfranchised Black voters who are just sick of being played, sick of being screwed over. So they are basically starting to use reparations language. She used the word reparations, which was very rare. Most politicians don't even say that word. They're instructed not to say the word. When Julianne Malveaux interviewed Barack Obama in 2014 or so, 2013, whatever year it was, and asked him about reparations, Obama immediately ended the interview. He immediately ended the interview because he felt that the conversation was too controversial for him to dig into, and he didn't want to lose his white base. So he walked away. He literally got up and walked out. Julianne Malveaux talked about it. She talked about it on this YouTube channel. Dr. Malveaux is a good friend of mine. I love Julianne Malveaux, but even if we disagree, I don't care. That's just my girl right there. I love her to death, to life. I love her to life. But anyway, long story short, so Stacey Abrams is starting to talk about reparations. She's starting to use the hashtag tangibles, and if you notice, she doesn't really talk about things that she's actually done on these issues. She's not talking about things she's actually done for Black people. She talks about things she's gonna do if she's elected. So the narrative becomes, if y'all don't vote for me, then I can't do all these things that I'm going to do. So it's really your fault. You're blaming the victim, so to speak. When the reality is, I want to know what you did during those years that you were not in the governor's office. You are one of the most powerful, most influential Black people in this country. You have billionaires and millionaires on speed dial. You have connections to corporations with trillion-dollar bank accounts. What are you doing that when you're not the governor to prove to me that I should trust you with my vote? If you can't prove and show me real tangibles, then you probably shouldn't use the word tangibles. But they're going to use that word because they want to hijack the hashtag, and they want to hijack the language and the rhetoric. But again, you got to know the difference between words and actions. And that's one of the things that we don't learn in politics, is we always think that because somebody sounds good, that means they are good. And that's just not true. Okay. And by the way, Tariq Nasheed and his crew and Jade Arendelle are doing they're doing a reparations rally in DC, and I told them that I would participate. It's early November, I think November 5th, something like that. And I told them I would support that because I do support the issue. What is your opinion on the Greenwood Bank in Atlanta? I don't know enough about the Greenwood Bank. I did hear I've heard good things about it, and I've heard some things. I wouldn't say they were bad. I would just say things that made me wonder exactly what's going on. Like, I know Killer Mike, so maybe I can have him on to explain it more. But I get a sense like that it's not exactly what people think it is, but it's not to say that it's like a bad place to put money. I mean, if you're going to put money in these other banks, you might as well put it in Greenwood too. So I don't have any issues with Greenwood Bank. Is the convention going to be held in Orlando again? Not anytime soon. New York City, we did actually plan to have it in New York, but then the pandemic hit. And New York was very extreme in their response to the pandemic. So we ended up having to cancel. We booked, we actually paid thousands of dollars to hold a space at what's that school up there? I want to say it's an HBCU, but maybe it's not. It's in Brooklyn. It's a school in Brooklyn. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, the school in Brooklyn, because I did an event there with Cornell West a few years ago. And so we booked the space, and then the pandemic hit and they shut it down. So we did it virtually. The next year, everything was opening up, but they still had all these crazy restrictions. So we were like, we can't do it up there. So what we decided to do was to go south, where people were not so caught up in being afraid of the pandemic. We were safe and everything. Nobody got hurt, but it was just like this pandemic response. People were just overreacting. I felt like people were just overreacting. It doesn't mean that the virus wasn't serious. I mean, it was serious. It was real. It was out there. We know that. But, it's just, I just didn't like this idea of just constantly living in fear and letting anybody force you to put things in your body that you don't want to put in your body, and then ignoring all of the data that is out there that says that there are effects. Dr. Christina Parks, who's going to be at the convention. Again, we have some doctors that are coming to the convention that are very much in favor of the jabs. They have no problem with the jabs. Dr. Christina Parks is an important voice because she has a dissenting opinion. And she claims that there's lots of people that are having significant health side effects as a result of the jab. So it is what it is. Bryce, Dr. Boyce, I'm 24 years old. I started watching you when I was 19. You saved my life, literally. I just want to thank you. Well, you're welcome, Bryce. I appreciate those kind words, man. Thank you. Well, you saved my life, brother, and I appreciate you for saying that. Thank you so much. I started my own record label in 2007, still investing in it. Well, good for you. Good luck, Just V. Put the name of your record label in the chat. You can get reparations by calling yourself Black. Well, I don't know. I imagine you have to prove a lineage. I don't know how they're going to do it. Let's see here. What is the date for your Charlotte convention? It's October 28th through the 30th. And you can go to boycewatkins.com if you'd like to learn more about it, or allblacknationalconvention.com. But boycewatkins.com is easy to remember. I'll put the links on both places. Let's see. I think it depends on the situation. In some cases, respect must be taken because some people still won't give you your respect, even if you earn it. Yeah, I just don't think that. I think America is, the history is deeper and richer than you think. And I just think that they're kind of trained to look at us in a certain way. We're trained to look at ourselves in a certain way, and we're trained to look at them in a certain way. And I think that that means that a lot of this transformation is as much psychological and spiritual as it is economic and educational and everything else. It's not about just sort of knowing what the right thing is to do. It's about kind of knowing how to make yourself do the right thing and break old habits and break generational curses. Let me see here. Mike Sykes, keep asking you a question on YouTube. I didn't see Mike Sykes' question, so sorry. If you have the question, if I missed your question, just repeat the question. Like, don't say, "Did you see my question?" Because then I'll answer that question. Then that'll be like one question I've answered for you. So anyway, I know the economy is not good right now, but what would be good to start to invest in as a start? I just bought some shares of Amazon. I bought some options actually in Amazon. So I actually am taking a little bit of a bet that Amazon is going to beat their earnings announcement. I don't make a lot of investments like this, but based on my research, I get an indication that Amazon is going to have an earnings beat. If they do, I would expect that the stock price could rise, which could increase the price of the option. So that's just a little investment I made today. Greenwood isn't a bank. It says at the bottom of their website, their banking services are provided by a bank that probably isn't owned by our people. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what I remember seeing where I was like, what's really going on with Greenwood? I don't want to badmouth it, but I'm really trying to figure out what the relationships, what the arrangements are. Like, because, it's easy to sort of have some initiative where you go and you find Black people and you pay them money. We'll do anything for money. We pretty much know this. And say, hey, go out here and get your people to support this thing that we're doing, right? And you see it all the time. You see it in politics. A lot of the leading Democrats are using their Blackness to get Black people to support the Democratic Party. They're not using the Democratic Party to support Black people, and so ultimately, I'm always curious about how these financial relationships work. One of the worst examples was when Jay-Z got hired by the Brooklyn Nets to get Black people to believe that the Brooklyn Nets were a Black-owned team. And that, to me, was them leaning on the idea that most people are not going to do the research. They're just like, oh, well, Jay-Z's on the billboard, and they know, they're like, okay, these people like things that are flashy. So they put Jay-Z on the biggest billboard in Times Square as if he was the owner of the Nets, when the reality was that 99.9% of the team was owned by these Russians who were using his face to get your buy-in into this arena. Because before there was resistance, Cornel West and some others were protesting and saying the people in the community need to benefit from you building this arena. They said, okay, how do we deal with this guy? Cornel West told me the story himself. Me and him spent 5-6 hours together one day in New York City, and he told me that story. And he said, we were doing really well. We had momentum. He said, once they put Jay-Z on that billboard, it completely killed everything we were able to do. So ultimately, you got to be careful. They play you with symbolism. They distract you with bright, shiny objects because they assume that the majority of your community is flat out stupid. Unfortunately, the reality is that there are people in our community that just aren't that smart, that just don't know the game that well. So what has to happen is that the intelligent Black people have to have a louder voice. You've got to speak up, and this is me doing my job right now. It's being kind of one of those people in the woods to say, no, don't fall for that. That's silly. That's crazy. And so ultimately I think it's going to work. It's just something we have to do. Let's see here. Where do people comfortable saving put their money? Should they pump it into the market? I will put some in the market because I believe the market's going to turn around. But, a lot of these low risk investments like the government I bonds, the inflation index bonds and stuff are paying a really good rate of return. And banks are starting to offer, 3-4% on these high yield savings accounts. So you don't have to put your money in the stock market to make your money grow. So I wouldn't be afraid to have some money in cash. Do you think Kanye will keep going in on the so-called fake, all the J people? I think Kanye is going to keep going for as long as he can. I just hope they don't kill the guy, because it gets real. Those people are something else. The people that he's criticizing, that claim that they have no power, they keep on quietly turning off the lights on on his business and his livelihood. Let's see. Mark says, "Can we please cancel Kanye already?" I don't think Kanye should be canceled. I'm not necessarily saying we should vouch for everything he says, but I don't think those voices should be canceled. I like diversity of perspective. I hate when everybody's like kind of on the same side when it comes to like the Democrat Republican stuff. Like the Democrats gave you a narrative about some of these civil rights, social justice issues, and we just believed it, and we want to beat up anybody who questions that narrative. I don't do that. I just say, okay, where's your proof? Do you have proof of that? And if he has no proof, then that's one thing. But I'm just telling you, I only know this because I was up close. I saw this shit up close and personal. I mean, I worked right next to Al Sharpton a lot back in 2009, and I would go to these rallies and marches, and I was right there when Obama started his rise. I mean, I was this close to bumping into Obama. Like I lived in Chicago, and I was in those circles with those people, and I just remember feeling like, man, they are really fooling. They're really playing black people. It doesn't mean that they're terrible people. They're doing things that are logical. What they're doing is it's logical because you don't understand. Politicians are not supposed to do anything for you if you're dumb enough to not ask them for anything. Like their goal is they're like you go on your job. Imagine some of y'all think about it. You go on your job. Imagine if your boss never asked you to do any work. And he gave you no supervision to make sure you were working. He didn't even ask you if you showed up today. Would you come to work? Would you be working as hard as you would if he were actually on your ass? I wouldn't be. I'd be, on Facebook. I'd take the day off, to do the stuff I want to do. If you're dumb enough to give me a paycheck and not ask me to do any work, then whose fault is that? Is it my fault or your fault? So the politicians are basically taking advantage of the fact that they trained you to give them a paycheck with no work. I don't vote for anybody if you're not delivering what I want you to deliver. If you can't do that, then I have no interest in giving you my support. That is logic. That is 2 + 2. There's nothing radical about expecting people to do what they promise you to do, that they were going to do. What are your thoughts on Fundrise? I haven't tried it, but I've heard good things about it. Let's see here. Do you think they can cancel Brush Limbaugh? I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Chase, do you think black people should hold our vote next election? I'm not going to tell black people what to do because that would make me another oppressor. Medgar Evers College, that's the college. Thank you for giving me for reminding me. That's where we're going to have the convention in 2020. Yeah, I don't believe in telling you what to do. I think the best thing I can tell you to do is to do what you believe you should do and what's best for your family. If you feel inspired to vote, then vote. But if you don't feel inspired to vote, then don't do it. Don't let people make you do it. Don't let anybody pressure you into stuff. That's nonsense. That's silly. Let's see here. Bring brother Ben X and Jake Tyler Jacobs to next year's convention. Yeah, me and Ben are real cool. I don't know the other guy, but Jake Tyler, I'm sure he's great. But I know brother Ben. We talk quite often. Dr. Parks is amazing. Yes, she is. We had a great Juneteenth event in Brooklyn. Yeah, I love Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn. I was really surprised when I had an event in Brooklyn, and it totally sold out. Hundreds and hundreds of people came to that event. I never forgot that. It was about 2017, and my one time I did something there, and I was really honored and humbled that so many people came out. So thank you. You are amazing. You are amazing. I'm glad I came across your page. Well, I'm glad you're here, Ray. Thank you for saying those kind words. You make me feel good. In fact, I'm going to go upstairs and hang out with my wife in a minute. And that's a good note to finish the conversation. So I enjoyed talking to y'all. I'll be back around tomorrow. And I hope you'll come to the convention. The convention is October 28th through the 30th in Charlotte, North Carolina, allblacknationalconvention.com. I hope you'll also share the link with other people, or you can also go to boycewatkins.com, or if you're on Instagram, hit the link in the bio. The information is there. We don't just have the physical passes, we have the virtual passes as well. So if you can't make it, you can join us virtually. We have 47 experts. It is a ton of fun. You do a lot of learning, a lot of connecting. It is an absolute blast. I guarantee it. So feel free to join us for the All Black National Convention. We're really getting good work done. I'm really proud of that. So have a good night, everybody. God bless you. And when will you come to Alabama? I don't know. I got to think about that. Y'all need to catch up with the 21st century in Alabama. I love y'all, but man, some of the people I'm in Alabama. Good Lord Jesus, y'all need to stop worshiping white folks. Anyway, I'm being silly. All right, guys. Well, I'm out of here. Have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Take care now. Peace.